Hey guys, I've got some amazing news. I actually got this tube working. Or I should say one of the very helpful guys over at the Video Karma Vintage TV forums got this working. He gave me some crazy instructions to use with this Suncor beam builder to actually weld that cathode back on. What I did was I set this control into the red range here in manual to restore, which seems to put like 50% extra voltage and current through the filament. You let that heat up for 60 seconds, rotate it to this remove short, push the big red button, and give the tube a whack with something like this pair of pliers right about here, and look for a big bright flash. Well, after about 30 tries, I got nothing. Probably would have helped if I had 3 hands, because basically you got to rotate this switch, hit this button, and hit the tube all at the same time. But on about the 30th try, I got a brief flash. Still no emission, but I kept at it about 5-6 more times. The flash got a bit brighter each time as my timing got better, I think. And finally, it seems to have been welded back on, because I've got some really good emission. This test is good or better than any tube I've ever tested before. And the emission life test is really good too. So I'm going to pop this tube into the Sentinel chassis and see if it works better than the other tube. I'm expecting that it will. And the news just keeps getting better. I put that picture tube in the Sentinel chassis and it's working just fine. Much brighter than the other tube. And nice and sharp too. I still have a little bit of adjustments. There's a bunch of fine-tuning mechanical adjustments to get the picture perfectly centered and to make sure it's not twisted and the vertical and horizontal linearity and all that, but I'm not going to bore you guys with that stuff. Oh, and in case you ever see black bars in any of my videos that are slowly traveling up or down the screen, that's nothing to do with the TV. If you were watching it in person, you would not see that. That's the camera's refresh rate being out of sync with the TV's refresh rate. You just have to take my word on that, I guess. But yeah, anyways, this was definitely worth all the time and effort and a little bit of money it took to get this going, because it's looking much better than the other two. Alright, it's time to make those final adjustments, pack it back into the cabinet, and I think I might actually finally be done with this project. I've got the chassis back up on my workbench now with the test pattern going so I can fine-tune this picture. Some of the adjustments you can make are mechanical up here on the CRT. For instance, this one on the yoke here you can adjust to make the picture level. And there's one for focusing, one for centering, and so on. I've got it going pretty good, but there's some issue with the top of the screen being distorted and clipped off here, so yeah, take another look under the chassis. I think a little bit of twisting too. Oh, what I'm using to make this test pattern is my B&K 1077B television analyst. Inside of this is kind of a cool mechanism for making the test pattern. It's a cathode ray tube in here that scans this faceplate and actually emits ultraviolet light, which goes through this transparency, which can be replaced to put different test patterns in. And that shines onto a photodetector tube, which then goes into an RF modulator. And you can set that to various channels on the TV. Like I've got it on channel 4 right now. I can put this on channel 2, for example. Well, the TV's gone to static, and I can change the channel on this channel 2, and there we go. This also does the UHF band and a whole bunch of other functions. I won't go into all of them now. Now this is also a vintage piece of test equipment. I think from the late 60s. It's about half transistor, half tube. I've done some basic repairs on this to get it functioning, but I really need to go over this and recap it and so on and calibrate it. But it's working pretty well, so will rely on this test pattern for now. So it's working pretty good. Well, like I said, the top is a bit twisted in the right here, so I'm going to do a little more tweaking. And hopefully I can get that all squared away, and then I'll pop it back in the chassis. Or sorry, pop it back in the cabinet and record a final video of it playing.